Hello. Yeah, this is testing 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to everyone, students, parents, and teachers. Today is an exciting day for all of us here at Klaritree. Hope the same is with you guys. We are starting a webinar series which is focused on teaching school students the fundamentals. I now welcome Professor Mahadevaiah, an award-winning author and content creator. Without a delay, I hand over the webinar to Professor Mahadevaiah.
Thank you, Prajwal. I am here. This is Professor Mahadevaiah from Klaritree. I am the founder of this Klaritree, a startup, an edtech company for rural students, especially. I know that we are not excited. I hope you are also excited, because the world we will live in is going to be transformed in a few years. So we thought, why not start updating the know-how about this changing world to the students so that they can cope up with their life as well as studies. Here we go. You know that as a student, even including parents and teachers, we never focus on something very fundamental and don't have probably the clarity about these kind of things. That's why this first session, probably 10 to 15 minutes, I touch upon the fundamental aspects of education, which are very, very important, because we have never been taught about these kind of topics when we studied. I hope even now they don't do this. That's why we thought of handling these special topics, so which are very familiar, which we do unknowingly, but without any meaning, without any clarity in our life. So you know that we all study. Study is actually next step to reading. We know that he is reading newspaper, he is reading magazines, reading novel, like that. So probably reading a notice board, reading a some kind of information on anywhere. So this reading is just converting textual or some symbolic information into a meaningful understanding. Probably it may happen in the mind. Then what is studying? So studying is a careful reading of something with focus, of course with a definite goal and definite framework. These things are very, very important for the kids. What are you studying? Are you studying science or maths or arts? Then what chapter you are studying? And in that chapter, what are the topics? So what is the summary? All those things, probably just by going through the summary at the end of the chapter, it's better to look into. So the studying will have a goal to understand something. Probably that will help in gaining the knowledge. Or we say once we understand that, probably we say that we have learned something in a particular chapter. Then what is learning? Learning is act of studying. Gaining knowledge is the end goal of that. So everyone will do this in their academic course, whether in high school or college or wherever they are. So you have to keep learning. Learning is not just happens within the classroom, it happens outside the classroom, because you may learn music from somewhere else, from a guru, you may learn dance, you may learn skiing, or even cycling, bicycling. Like that, lot of things we learn, not just by studying or reading. So by participation, by interaction, by communicating, by experience, all these things can be done. So the end goal is we have to learn something. It's a lifelong learning process, of course. Even dealing with someone else, probably we may learning something. So the next important aspect is knowledge. So the goal of the learning should lead to knowledge. Learning, we gain something which will be useful to put into use, either in the examination as a student perspective, or probably if you are a employee, probably you may learn something which will be useful to your company. Like that, wherever you go, this aspect of learning with a timeline will make you capable of putting that knowledge, learning into useful knowledge. So that means if you write examination and if you pass, probably one may say that you have some knowledge. And if you score out of out, then you may say fantastic knowledge. That is only deciphering what you have learnt in a test or probably an examination. Or somebody may ask through a quiz, you may be able to answer such queries. So that is the kind of knowledge we gain through learning process. So this study, learning, knowledge until now are the three important aspect of education. We know that we join school or college because we want to learn something and gain knowledge so that it will be useful for us as a life. But is it happening? Probably yes, 50 to 60 or even 70% it's happening, because we have gone through such a process, and because of that somehow we able to lead the life with that knowledge what we gained in our schooling or education. But now, as I said initially, it is changing. It is because of AI. What is happening? All the process that I have told, including the next one, it actually can be mastered by artificial intelligence. Then what do we do? So this is a threat as well as an opportunity for human beings. Of course, human beings have created this AI, but everyone is fearing because they may take our jobs. The same way as people always thought when it happened, the era of computer in 1980s. But the reverse thing happened, and computer helped us, and computer made the entire world digital, and everything is so easy now, and opportunities are more now, because of which India is the only country probably which gained tremendous financial growth. So even AI may give us such kind of opportunity only if we are able to surpass them, only if we are able to capture the intent of AI and then use in our daily life. So that is the scenario. So what we are going to look forward. So then we have to prepare ourselves. You know that when a kid joins school, probably they won't be knowing, as a kid it won't be knowing what kind of strength it's having. So it is the responsibility of the parent and teachers to look into the different intelligence embedded within the child. So to identify that skill or the knowledge, the intelligence, because everybody is intelligent, not in a only intellectual way. It can be physical. The intelligence may be in terms of physical, like probably Dhoni or Kohli or Cristiano Ronaldo, like that. They have fantastic physical capability. That means their physicality will be of having utmost intelligence. That is why they do fantastic in their own chosen field. If you are good at singing, you can be someone a great singer. So if you are very, I mean, capable of making fun of lot of events and fun of himself, or to find fun in everything, then you can be probably a stand-up comedian. And of course, if you are a very good communicator, you can gain some soft skills through that, and you can become probably the HR manager or some kind of position where you can deal with human beings. Then somebody is interested in STEM, like math or science or arts, or these skills also enable them to choose their own career. This is very, very important. Like this, identifying the skill in a student becomes the utmost turning point, important turning point in the student's career. Either the parent or teacher has to identify, because if that does not happen in the school, probably they may take up a course which may not interest them and spoil their career. So that's why this is the real turning point in any student's life. So what is the capacity? I would like to give an example and then probably carry it forward. You know that capacity in a chosen field. What is that? For example, if somebody cooks fantastic, then probably you may say that, okay, she cooks fantastic in the kitchen. The best example is the Raghavendra of Rameshwaram. You know that Rameshwaram hotel, which is very popular now, of course. So where the something happened and it became more popular with that. He actually did the cooking service on a roadside mobile van, 10 years. He was actually a dropout of mechanical engineer. Probably why he dropped out of engineering, nobody would ever thought of dropping out of engineering career, because it seems to be foolish for 90% of the parents, but he did it. Many great people who achieved in their own chosen field have actually dropped out. So that means something wrong with our education system. Just by blaming the education system, we cannot actually probably progress. You may survive to some extent, but choosing our own goal becomes very, very important, because it's our life. So we have to take care. So Raghavendra, what he did, 10 years he struggled on the street by serving the food to the people, but he never satisfied with his own as a mobile canteen owner. So somewhere that idea, that imagination which he had to make it big in his life became Rameshwaram Cafe. And you know that it is now a crore business. Okay, everyone appreciates the kind of food they serve. Of course, on a higher side, the value. Now, probably it may become global. Rameshwaram Cafe has grown like that. Why? Just because one person, of course with the collaboration, has always dreamt of making it big from the street to probably the 5-star level. Because Ambani actually invited him to serve food at his son's marriage. That is the kind of guarantee in the food. So Raghavendra can actually give. That is why this becomes very, very important. If you are very good in spiritual domain, then you can be a Buddha, not exactly the Buddha. So you have to identify. If you are really good at, you can become a national leader. So these are the kind of opportunities that will be there in front of us. But the thing is, you need to enhance your knowledge and put into use and make it big. That is the capacity of each one of us. I hope you understand this very specific aspect of life. So always gaining knowledge is secondary, and of course it is one of the steps, but finally making it big is your capacity. So whether you are going to dream that or not, it depends on individual. Now, so this takes you to the end of the first level. Why I spoke about these topics like study, learning, knowledge, skills, capacity, like that? Because this will actually give you a first scenario. So what can be ahead in terms of core concepts of computing or computing concept for kids. So once you understand the aims and goals of you, what are you doing, what to do with your life, what to do with your learning, so will becomes very clear. And that clarity, what you are going to do is very, very helpful, and it will ease out probably 80 to 90% of your rest of the things what you do with your learning. Digital computer. You know that this is the world is digital now. That is only the perception of the human being, because he is able to create such kind of perception to the human beings. But in reality, life is not digital, it is analog. That means always it changes with respect to time. Even for a moment, nothing is constant, but only it seems to be constant. So what is this digital? So which can, because it can become more controllable. So digital, what do you mean by digital? So digital means it is binary digits. So this binary digit, which are 1 and 0, ones and zeros, which we perceive it has changed the entire scenario so far, and it's going to enormously impact on our future life within probably 3 to 4 years, I hope. You might have heard about AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT, how it is revolutionizing things. How many thousands of AI tools are coming out as an applications, and it's helping human to do fast. That means we may become very efficient in our work or learning. Every aspect of life can become more efficient. What do you mean by that? It's going to be fantastic, because we can focus on our own life and be a better person and do more, achieve more, at the same time enjoy more, but not always attached to the digital world. So you should find a balance between the digital and the analog world. So that is the aim of this webinar. And of course, with a core insights into the digital technology is the fundamental to the kids of the this particular era, because it's going to change. You don't really understand what I'm telling. Probably 8 to 10 years you will realize, okay, so I attended this kind of webinar and I realized this, because of which I am here. I am better off than someone else. If that is going to happen, our job is done. So you know that the entire digital world actually emanates from transistor to CPU, because CPU is the brain of the digital world. And everywhere we can see billions of CPUs. Without our knowledge, they will be working behind the scene and helping us. And this CPU is having the fundamental building block as a transistor. And from transistor to gates, and from gates to the flip-flops, and from there all other components, probably ALU or control unit or counters, etc., which actually make up the broader perspective for a CPU. All the electronic components are created with transistor as the fundamental unit, building block. So transistor acts as a switch, the simple logic, either 1 or 0, true or false, and then open or close, present or not present, burnt or not burnt. Like that, every technology which are binary in nature, so is put into use, or these kind of devices will be interacting with the CPU to transform our world in whatever we do. So that means the digital world is a binary world, either 1 or 0. But in reality, our life is analog world. So it is not ones and 0. But 1 is not exactly 1, 0 is not exactly 1. That is only our perception and the mechanism through which entire thing has been created. Thanks to all those people behind the scene who actually created this digital world. So some of the important terms as a student of school. So you need to know these important terms with the digital technology, in particular to the computer. What is hardware? So the hardware is simply physical components, the electronic component which we can touch and feel. That's the general definition, probably you might have gone through in school. And then software. Software is the one which actually we cannot touch but we can feel. What do you mean by that? So these are the instructions, a program which resides inside the hardware and control the hardware as per the requirement of the user. So software is like the dream what we dream, or the thing that controls the hardware. Without software, probably there is no use of hardware. So basically software is nothing but a big program. And what is program? Instructions to hardware. That means hardware will be doing that as per the instruction. But in reality, I wonder, even kids may wonder, probably you might have a question. Hardware is very dumb because it's not a living being. If I tell something to dog, the dog at home, so probably it may take my order because it's a living being and it has its own brain and intelligence and it can understand the command or the instruction. So you may ask it to go, sit, eat, don't bark, something like that, some instructions. So these kind of instructions, probably it would have learned over practice and then it will execute those instructions. Then how do hardware, which is dumb in nature, can execute the instructions? Because programming is nothing but instructions. So you wonder how they are instructed. Hardware is basically, the design of the hardware is made in such a way, which we call as architecture, is nothing but physicality. I will give you an example. You know that there is a mobile, automobile. So when automobiles are there, first if you try to drive it, you should know how to start the engine and then put the gear from neutral to drive mode. Probably if it is automatic, or probably it's a manual gear, gear number 1, 2, 3, and then along with the clutch and brake, ABC accelerator. So you should know how to control. So on a physical level, to the user perspective, just by sliding the lever into gear 1, gear 2, the mechanism will be changing behind the scene. The gearbox, all the gears will realign themselves to drive in a different speed or torque. So it is very easy to understand that. Similarly, even suppose if you want to send money through Phone Pay or Google Pay, what you do is type in the figure and then select the phone number or the UPI ID and then say send. Automatically it will transact with the bank and then money is get transferred. Money will not go from your bank to the other destination. Actually the numbers will change. In his account, what is number? 100 rupees. If you send another 100 rupees, it will become 2. So only 1 will be changed into 2. So that means physicality, just by sending the signal, so it gets updated. No money will be, physical money will ever be transferred. So that's how the digital world works. So software is nothing but commands, and these are called as set of instructions. So what we write as a program. But hardware understand the same set of instruction as instruction set. It is like dog's language. Though it is English what we are speaking to dog, or probably in some other language. Excuse me. So hardware will be, mechanism will be built in such a way that it gets operated, just like lift. Suppose if you press 5th floor, automatically the mechanism will take you to the 5th floor. Exactly, it happens behind the scene like that. Okay. So programs I have told what is the. Then users. Without users, there is no utility or the importance of all these things. So everything has been created for the purpose of human beings. So we as users. Another important term is data. What is this data? You know that we deal with the real world data. It might be the money, the numbers, maybe text, maybe image, maybe photograph or movie, or even sound, like that. These are all analog in nature, and everything what we deal in real world is analog. Then if you want to modify, if you want to process, if you want to transmit, if you want to deal with this kind of real world data, we have to transfer somehow into the digital devices and then give it to the CPU for the processing. That is the crux of entire digital world. So how do you transfer? Because it should be uniform throughout the world. So they have found out some mechanism of encoding and decoding. So the conversion of the real world data into digital world is called as encoding, and back from the reverse order from the digital data to analog data, so that human beings can understand, is called as the decoding. So there are various techniques. So one of the popular standard technique is ASCII, and then comes Unicode, like that JPEG or MOV or MP3. You know that these are all different kinds of files, as well as the encoding techniques and decoding techniques. So there are programs, plenty of programs which they can deal with these kind of data, real world data, and store it as binary data. But when they actually convert or encode, they actually put their own format, because when everything becomes ones and zero, whether it is text or image or sound or movie, then you cannot figure out. But without ones and zeros, computer cannot handle anything and everything. So that is why we have to convert into binary. That's why we say computer understands binary, because they are made up of transistor, fundamental unit. Okay, so nothing exists beyond ones and zeros. But there should be a mechanism of taking that and process it and then giving out to the human beings in the understandable format for them. So that is the wonderful nature of the digital computer. So how the data is stored, you know that hard disk is there, SSDs or magnetic or thumb drive, so many other, earlier there were discs, Blu-ray discs, like that. This encoding and encoding is first step, and everything is digital. It becomes digital, and these should be stored inside the system as a file. Every data is nothing but a file. But who helps us in storing these files, whatever the kind of data? There comes the operating system. The operating system is such a fantastic idea. So that comes as an interface, a programming interface, to deal with the hardware. So Windows, Linux, Android, Mac OS, so many thousands of operating systems for different kind of devices are available. Every operating system will have its own the rules and regulations, and Windows kind of stuff will run on a matching hardware, which we call it as x86. Similarly, Linux also runs on the same x86 hardware. But now the embedded systems or mobile devices like iPad or mobile phone or something else may run on ARM architecture. These are the design of the hardware, but a suitable operating system should be there. So that's why mobile devices will have their own kind of operating system, and even smartphones also will have a different kinds of operating system. So you need to understand the communication happens between all these devices, and there should be a mechanism to store as well as transmit without losing your data. So all these are nothing but programs. So when every real world data is stored as a digital file or different kinds of files, that we identify them by extensions like .mp3, .mpeg4 or .movie, like that, etc. .image will be .jpeg and then .bmp, like that. There are certain files which are meant for us to deal with. There are certain files which are meant for system. What I mean is operating system. So you should not touch those files. This becomes very, very vital. Of course, you must understand how booting, that means loading of the operating system into main memory, because memory is another important hardware part with respect to CPU, without which it will never be able to work or process anything. So later we will take up these things in a detailed manner, but understand that every data is stored as a digital file, and these files are meant for us, and if there are files which were called as programs, are meant for the CPU, which it can understand the data, nothing but instructions, and they will be able to execute. So that execution becomes very, very vital for the system to work. You may ask, because every kind of device, every kind of system will work on a principle. So in science we have learned so many principles. Similarly, even computer will have a principle, the working principle. What is that? That's called a stored program concept, or the person who invented, a mathematical professor. So von Neumann concept. So there will be an input, because some way you have to take the real world data and put it into the system, digital system. That's very, very important. So you need input device. And when it gets into system, where it gets into main memory, and then for further processing. It may be processed by CPU, or it may be stored into the secondary storage, which we call as hard disk or some other thing. So, and then suppose if you want to know, then it should be given to the output device, like a monitor or a printer or some other thing, maybe transmitted to some other device. So that means input, process, output, IPO. This is called as the IPO cycle. This is the very important principle, and the most important thing to note here, the data as well as the instructions to the CPU to execute, both will lie on the same memory. That is why this is very, very important aspect to know, because in some other processor, maybe which acts as a controller, these two things, the data as well as the program instructions, will lie separately. Like in a washing machine, the program resides in a memory where you cannot access. User have no choice. User have choice to access only the memory where data is inserted. That means what kind of cloth, what is the color of the cloth, so what is the washing cycle one has to select, like that. These are the things that user can make decision by interacting with the interface of the washing machine. So this is a controller. Washing machine will have a controller, a small controller. Basically it is also a processor, but does some predefined task. Okay, so I hope you have understood the difference between a regular general purpose computer and with a microcontroller. Now, so we have understood a little bit about CPU. Then there are other processing units. What are these processing units? These are called as accelerated processing unit. Okay, so that means the processing is accelerated by some means. Example, a GPU. Suppose you are a gamer and you want to play game, Counter-Strike or probably FIFA or some other games. So if you want to play, your system need to have a GPU, graphic processing unit. Basically they are very powerful in handling the vectors. You may not understand this, but don't give much of importance right now. They actually process better than a CPU. That is the idea. And there is another called TPU, tensor processing unit, or probably neuron processing unit. That's another, or network processing units. There are a lot of other kinds of processing units, audio processing unit, the physical processing unit, so many different kinds of processors, including DSP, digital signal processor. So there is what is called the ASIC, asynchronous IC chip. So what is that? All these things are made for a particular domain. Suppose if there is a factory controlled by a lot of microcontrollers or PLC, programmable logic controller, then there will be an ASIC technology working, because they are very critical, no latency, without time being wasted, even for a fraction of a microsecond or a nanosecond, it should work. So if that is the kind of thing, then there should be a different technology. Similarly, it applies to DSP. So TPU is becoming very, very popular. It's the product of Google, and tensor processing unit can handle all matrix operations with a very fast, all the supercomputer probably might be working, but you have a chance of working with the TPU. Probably we may have a course on that, and we will create another webinar on the TPU, because nowadays it's available so cheap. We can work with another small computer. I will, in the coming slide it will come, I will talk about that. So I think that can be the end of digital computer input. Now we have to ask ourselves, do machines think? Because there is a buzzword like machine learning and artificial intelligence. What is this artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning? When all these digital devices or machines can do all the things that what we can do, then what do we do? Do really machines think? They cannot in reality, but they mimic. That means, so they pose as though I can think, because it works based on some algorithms which will give us a feeling of machine thinking. So this is only a creation of human being, because people have been researching since from 1950, I think 53, it all happened in MIT lab, when John McCarthy actually coined the word artificial intelligence. So he never dreamt of these things, but there was always that concept. Even in ancient Egyptian civilization, they had this kind of controlling things, automatic control of the door of a temple in Egypt or somewhere else, or even that missile launching, the very basic missile launching things which we encounter in ancient time. When I say missile, it is not missile, some kind of probably an arrow or some stuff like that. Okay. So do machine think? I said it is not, but it mimics. What is this AI world? Probably 8 to 10 years, this analog world will be full of AI world. Human will be interacting this artificial intelligence everywhere. It will help us. It is here for helping us. So the digital world is already there. We do a lot of things with that, but they are not smart. Then the world around us will become smart because of the artificial intelligence. What is this artificial intelligence? Because of the algorithm that behaves like human beings. That means they behave in such a fashion in every domain, whether it is educational or job or agriculture or space. Everywhere you can find these kind of applications. Then what should we do? What will happen to human beings? Do we going to lose our job? I hope we don't, because human potential is always beyond intellectual. We have empathy, we have kindness, we have feelings, we have imagination. You may say, sir, I am using DALL-E or some other image processing or image creation tool, AI tool, where I am able to prompt to create image or a movie, videos are being created by AI. So they can also imagine, sir. But you are giving that prompt. That prompt is the input for that AI tool to imagine itself what you are willing for. That may not be always, they say, AI may generate sometimes incorrect answers, so be careful. So that means AI cannot be 100% correct always. So it is your discretionary power to decide whether it is right or wrong. So that's why always human touch should be there, whatever that is being generated by AI. So of course, this augmented generative intelligence, AGI, probably it may change, but I consider that human beings are always having this potential. Now it is time to think what should we do in this onslaught of AI to protect ourselves, to enhance our life. So we need to change the gear. So this is the time we need to understand what is the threat which is lurking somewhere around us. So we have to be ready for that. What is being told in this webinar is becomes very important, because it becomes very important to the kids, the school kids, because if you do not have the clarity about the future, which will change drastically and dramatically, unbelievable, then we need to have the clarity. So bringing the clarity is the main vision of this startup Klaritree, especially rural school kids of India. Currently, we are focusing Karnataka because it's our state. First we do here at home, and then probably it may be spread all over India, and of course beyond that. So bringing clarity becomes very important for anything in any domain. And you need a great effort. You need a great teamwork, collaboration. So we welcome most of the people who are interested in this, most of the companies who can collaborate with us, those who work in rural areas, those who work in urban areas, because bringing clarity is not a small one-day task. So it's a continuous process. And people who do not know anything about the other world, what is happening, it becomes more difficult for us, but we have to be determined, and we are determined. And I thank my team, entire team, who has been in all these years, probably 3 to 4 years, dreaming this kind of bringing clarity in learning and whatever they do. So through this startup Klaritree. So I thank everyone. Of course, there are people who are very important, like probably Prajwal, Pratik, Tarun, Nidhi, Tarkesh, those who are Rakesh, like this. Of course, another person who is Harsh, who has got UN Student Award, is in Italy now, probably might be at France to receive his own. Along with this, these are all youngsters. My own old student, Veda, is unbelievable in his dealing with the physical computing. So he will be dealing with physical computing in coming webinars, and he will be taking you to the real world for an exciting hands-on sessions. So I thank each and every one. I think I have not forgotten people who are in my team. I move on. What can we do to bring the clarity into learning? So through webinars, like basic electronics, design and printing of 3D prototype models, and explore 3D solid modeling, of course through coding. Coding is another exciting platform. Probably our own, I will talk in the next slide, it will be coming. And of course there is what is called as physical computing world through Arduino Uno, and then block coding techniques through Raspberry, which is a free multilingual platform for school children. It's available in 9 languages totally, English plus 8 Indian languages, all the South Indian languages like Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and then Malayalam, along with Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, and then Sanskrit. So you can explore, because this is actually targeting the rural students, because they may not know proper English, but still you cannot rule out their skills, their capacity. So that's why we have done something a bit from this startup. So then problem solvers. We want to create more and more problem solvers by going through these kind of webinars and courses as well as workshops. Problem solving can be done through different ways. There are a lot of methodologies. The one is computational thinking, will be one webinar topic. The other one is design thinking. Both can be applied to solve any problem, whether it is academic problem or whether it is life problem. So having this perspective will make you very strong in your own thinking. Automatically that will make you confident and then go ahead in whatever the problems you face. Then of course Raspberry Pi we are planning, so which will be definitely hands-on. Use it as a innovation tool for the school project. If you are interested, any school kid is interested in taking the school project, whatever the domain, we try to give them how to brainstorm their ideas and then how to figure out what idea can be implemented, and then to implement what you need, whether resources or capabilities in terms of knowledge, and then financial support or the helping hand through mentors and guides like that. And then finally doing the project hands-on and then showcasing it, how to showcase in front of the others so that they can evaluate and appreciate your effort. So this is the kind of inputs we would like to give, so directly to the kids. Of course, I have already told that webinars and bite-sized courses and hands-on workshop. I hope I am done with my bit. Thank you everyone for this wonderful webinar streaming by Klaritree. And everyone who participated, whether you are a student or a parent or probably a teacher, and this is the time, so interact with us, collaborate with us to taking it forward, and we make our state as well as the nation so proud in this world by understanding the coming onslaught of the AI dunya, so and make our own students better and handle their own life successfully. So thank you for Prajwal giving me for this, this opportunity to deliver my thoughtful insight and share with you. Thank you, one and all.
We have covered a lot of ground today, and if you guys have any questions, you can drop in the questions right now. We'll be able to answer those. There's a Google form link in the chat. You guys can fill that out and we'll answer any questions that you have. Okay, looks like there's no questions from your end. This brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you all for joining us and for your active participation. We will be sending out a recording of this webinar and the slides to you over the email. And again, thank you so much for joining with us.